Right, one of the important things that people tend to overlook sometimes in prepping meat and fish are the knives you use. And it's really, really important that you're, like any tool of the trade, your knives are looked after and they're kept sharp, and you're using the right knife for the right job. I'm going to quickly go over one or two bits and pieces about sharpening knives and one or two different knives of what I use them for in the kitchen. First things first, sharpening. I have here a dry stone, one of the cheap ones you buy really. They're about £5 or £6 I suppose. Coarse side and a finer side. I only ever use the coarse side of the stone if the edge of the knife is really, really bad, if it hasn't been sharpened for any length of time, or sometimes if the knife is new. I re-hone it to take into account the angle at which I sharpen the knives. Now, one thing you've got to be careful with these is they slip around a bit. So the easy way to stop that is a damp cloth just on the work surface, and put your sharpening stone in its holder on the cloth, and then it doesn't shift around. So that makes it an awful lot safer to use to sharpen your knife. I'm going to start off first of all with a chef's knife, a tanker knife. I've got this one. Paid £12 for this. Now you get what you pay for. I paid for this. I bought it in Sainsbury's. You can buy them in all the other supermarkets, Tesco's, Morrison's, whatever. But I just happened to be in Sainsbury's when I got this. Now, the important thing when you sharpen a knife is think about the angle. If you have an angle of say 45 degrees, you'll get an edge. It won't be as sharp as a more shallow angle, but it will last longer. If you sharpen at a shallow angle, say about 30 degrees, it will be sharper, but you'll find that the edge won't last quite as long because the metal will be thinner, a more reduced angle. I tend to sharpen around about 30 degrees and then just keep touching up on the steel, and I'll come to that in a minute. Even pressure, and I tend to hold my knife at an angle and just draw it across the stone, reasonable pressure all the way to the end. You can hear it grinding away there, 2 strokes either side. Bear in mind this has been honed by myself before, so it shouldn't need much. I can feel the edge on there, lovely. So be careful when you're testing it. More each way like that. I can feel ever so slightly now it's starting to catch the flesh of my thumb. Quick wipe, very carefully, so leaves to remove there. Now the next thing to do to finish it off, I always use a steel. Good quality bush of steel. I got paid about £25, it's an average one. Same sort of angle, down either side of the blade like that, just a few times. And now because you've honed the knife, you shouldn't really need to go back to that block to sharpen it. You just continue sharpening it on the steel until such a time as you feel you need to re-hone the edge. If I just get a piece of cardboard here, you see how sharp this is. Just like so, just drag it across the edge. Lovely and sharp. So that's just a normal kitchen knife that I use quite a bit. Another knife I use quite a bit is a boning knife. It's a very distinctive shape to the blade. Quite a stiff blade. Again, 30 degrees on the angle, across either way. Try and keep both hands out of the way of the blade as you're moving, just in case you slip. Feel the edge. Quick finish from the steel, and again, lovely and sharp. Now we come to filleting knives. A little bit different with these, very difficult. All these knives, sharpening knives, comes with a bit of practice and perseverance. Filleting knives by nature, very, very flexible blades, because you have to get very close to the small bones on fish, so they're quite flexible, which makes them quite difficult to sharpen. Again, 30 degrees, reasonable pressure across. You can feel the grit of the stone sort of cut into the blade as you work it. So these all have already been honed by me to the angle I use, and again, very gently wipe the blade and just finish off again on the steel. That's your fillet knife. Again, lovely and sharp. Things like choppers, you can actually sharpen. I tend to, because this is a very heavyweight blade, I would do this on the coarser side, and again finish off on the steel. Won't be as sharp as your finer blades simply because of the thickness of the metal, but again you can see it cuts quite easily. Great for, you know, like taking the heads off fish and things like that, or even chopping through some thicker joints of meat or bone. Another knife I'll show you, which I use quite often, is a steak knife. This again, great for cutting things like, well, obviously steaks, but also things like salmon. Anything where you've got a line, you want to get a nice long straight cut for presentation, ideal. Again, very very sharp. This has been sharpened recently. Wow, look at that, straight through. And another one, just to finish off, is a skinning knife. And I tend to use this very rounded blade for removing the hide off of bacon joints, loins and whatever. Also use it in the field if I go deer stalking for skinning deer. The angle of the blade, because it's so rounded, it makes it less likely that you'll pierce through the skin. It lets you keep under the skin nice and easy, just using slight motions like that for skinning. So there we have just a selection of 1 or 2 knives, how to keep them sharp. When you come to sharpen your knives, it is trial and error. You need to practice a little bit. You need to get all your knives, if you like, used to how you work. You have to get the angles ground on the blades to the angle that you want to work to, and you feel comfortable sharpening them. But as I say, if you can, fork out as much as you can for the quality of the knives. As with any tool of the trade, you get what you pay for. Look after them, and they should really last your lifetime. And you'll probably see these being used on and off through the course of my videos. Thanks a lot.